was just a normal school day until someone never came back. 4 students from different cities at different times simply vanished. No goodbye, no witnesses, just empty desks and terrified families. But what if I told you that each of these disappearances was so chilling it forced entire schools to shut down? In this video, you'll discover the stories that parents feared, teachers couldn't forget, and communities still talk about in whispers. These aren't urban legends. They're real, unresolved, and closer than you think. Case 1. The Locker That Never Opened Again. The Disappearance of Jessica Lane. It was October 12, 2003, a Monday. Jessica Lane, a shy and thoughtful 15-year-old, arrived early at Greenfield High School, just like she always did. Her mother, Deborah, had dropped her off around 7:10 a.m., just outside the front entrance. Jessica waved, smiled, and disappeared into the sea of students flooding the campus. She was wearing a red hoodie, dark jeans, and carried her usual navy blue backpack. By all accounts, it was a typical morning. She went to her locker, greeted 2 friends, and walked toward her first period class. But what happened next has puzzled investigators for over 2 decades, because Jessica Lane was never seen again. Her seat in English class remained empty. The teacher marked her absent, thinking maybe she had gone to the nurse's office. But as the hours passed, concern grew. She wasn't in her second class or her third. By lunchtime, the school had begun calling her. Emergency contacts. No answer. That afternoon, her locker remained untouched. Her textbooks were still there. Her lunch hadn't been eaten. Panic set in when the principal was informed that not a single student, teacher, or staff member had seen Jessica since the start of the day. Security footage showed her entering the building, and then nothing. No footage of her exiting, no signs of struggle, no evidence she had ever left the premises. The police were contacted, and Greenfield High School went into lockdown. For the first time in its history, the school shut down for 3 full days while every corner was searched. Classrooms, storage rooms, janitorial closets, even ceiling panels and underground maintenance tunnels. Cadaver dogs were brought in. Helicopters scanned the surrounding woods. Hundreds of volunteers combed through nearby fields and creeks. Yet despite the massive response, not a single clue was found. No hair strands, no clothing fibers, no eyewitnesses. It was as if Jessica had been erased from the school entirely. Rumors began to swirl almost immediately. Some students claimed to have heard a scream near the south stairwell around 7:45 a.m., but no one could confirm it. Others speculated about a mysterious man seen parked near the faculty lot that morning, a man no one could later identify. There were even whispers of secret passages beneath the school, stories passed down from older students, but none were ever confirmed to exist. The FBI joined the investigation 3 days later, treating it as a probable abduction. But without leads, suspects, or even a direction to pursue, the case grew cold fast. Jessica's disappearance left a permanent scar on the Greenfield community. The school installed more cameras, increased security, and implemented stricter check-in protocols. Parents became terrified of letting their kids out of their sight. Students, once carefree, were now anxious and paranoid. And Deborah Lane, Jessica's mother, never gave up. She kept Jessica's room exactly as it was, textbooks open on her desk, posters on the walls, even her school ID badge still clipped to her favorite hoodie. Every year on the anniversary, Deborah holds a candlelight vigil outside the school. Dozens gather. Some never knew Jessica personally, but they remember. They remember the locker that never opened again. They remember the hallway that suddenly felt colder. And they remember the silence, the heavy, aching silence that comes when a young life simply vanishes without a trace. To this day, no trace of Jessica Lane has ever been found. No new evidence, no conclusive theory. Just a mother's endless grief, a school's lingering trauma, and an empty seat in room 104 that nobody ever filled again. Case 2. The boy who walked into fog. The case of Tyler Monroe. It was a cold, damp morning in Ashbury, Oregon, November 6, 1998. The kind of day when fog rolls in heavy, blanketing the entire valley in a curtain of stillness. Tyler Monroe, just 13 years old, was last seen walking the wooded path behind Ashbury Middle School, a shortcut he and dozens of students took every day. That morning, his friend Luke had stayed home sick, so Tyler walked alone. He left his house around 7:40 a.m., backpack slung over one shoulder, hoodie pulled tight against the chill. But he never made it to school. Somewhere in that 10-minute walk through the woods, Tyler vanished, not a trace left behind. When his parents received a call from the school about his absence, they were confused. He'd left on time. Had something delayed him? They called neighbors, friends, even the school office again. By early afternoon, they were frantic. Police were notified, and within hours, the wooded trail was swarmed with officers, dogs, and local volunteers. Search teams fanned out in every direction. But the forest that had always felt familiar now seemed to swallow every clue. The fog that morning had been dense, unnaturally so. Some searchers said they couldn't see more than 5 feet ahead. The leaves were slick, the ground soft. Any potential footprints would have vanished quickly. Investigators found no torn fabric, no dropped belongings, not even a scuff mark or broken twig to suggest a struggle. Tyler's backpack was never recovered. The only thing they found was his house key, lying in the mud near the trail's edge. Not broken, just placed, as if someone had set it there deliberately. The implications sent a chill down everyone's spine. The town of Ashbury responded with urgency. The school was closed for a full week, and students were warned not to walk alone. Parents formed safety patrols, escorting children to and from school in small groups. Police conducted dozens of interviews. One older student claimed he saw a tall man in a beige coat standing near the trailhead just after 8 a.m., but the description was too vague to identify anyone. Another resident reported hearing strange whistling near the woods the night before, a sound that didn't match any animal native to the region. What made Tyler's case so disturbing was how normal everything had been up to that point. He was a straight A student, deeply loved by friends and family, with no history of running away or behavioral issues. There were no signs of conflict at home or school. He had plans, a science fair project due the following week, and a basketball game he'd been excited about. Nothing suggested he wanted to disappear. As weeks turned into months, leads dried up. The trail was searched repeatedly. Aerial scans, heat imaging, even divers brought in to check nearby ponds. But Tyler was gone. Not a single confirmed sighting, not a call, not a letter. His face was printed on flyers, milk, cartons, even billboards across Oregon. But no one ever came forward with useful information. Over time, theories multiplied. Some blamed human trafficking rings. Others believed he may have been lured by someone posing as a school official. There were darker whispers about something unnatural in the forest. Town legends resurfaced. Old stories about children disappearing near the Ashbury Trail, dating back to the 1950s. Folklore, people said, but others weren't so sure. Tyler's case felt different, too clean, too silent. His parents, Marla and Greg Monroe, never moved away. They still live in the same house. They keep his room exactly as it was, and every year on the anniversary of his disappearance, they walk the trail, retracing their son's final known steps. Marla once said in an interview, "It's like he walked into the mist, and the world just closed behind him." To this day, the question remains unanswered. How does a boy disappear within walking distance of a school in daylight without leaving even a footprint? The woods behind Ashbury Middle are quieter now. Fewer kids use the trail. The trees feel heavier. And somewhere, just beyond the last turn in the path, the fog still lingers, hiding a truth no one has yet been able to find. Case 3. The Vanishing of Madison Reyes. It was 2013 in Cedar Hollow, Texas, a tight-knit suburban community where everyone knew everyone. Madison Reyes was a bright and bubbly 9-year-old who had just started 4th grade at Birchwood Elementary. Her parents described her as cautious, even shy, the kind of girl who triple-checked if doors were locked and needed a nightlight to sleep. On September 18th, everything seemed normal. Madison had breakfast with her family, packed her pink lunchbox, and caught the school bus at 7:10 a.m. She waved goodbye, as always. But by 3:15 p.m., when kids began spilling out of buses and into driveways, Madison never returned. Her mother, Elena, assumed there'd been a mix-up. Maybe Madison stayed late for the reading program. But when a call to the school revealed that Madison had never arrived, panic took over. Within the hour, police were at the Reyes home. The bus driver insisted she had seen Madison board that morning. Security footage from the bus confirmed it. But then came the chilling detail. There were no school records showing she'd checked in that day. Teachers hadn't marked her as present. Friends didn't remember seeing her in class. The school was put on immediate lockdown. Every classroom, restroom, hallway, and maintenance area was searched. Nothing. Cedar Hollow's police chief called in neighboring departments. Helicopters scanned the nearby fields. Bloodhounds combed the area between Madison's bus stop and the school entrance. Still, no sign. The distance from the drop-off point to the school doors was less than 100 feet. That meant Madison disappeared within a matter of seconds, in broad daylight, surrounded by dozens of children and staff. How? Detectives reviewed surveillance footage from school entrances. Cameras captured kids streaming in from buses, backpacks bouncing, chatter in the air. But strangely, there was no angle showing Madison herself entering the building. In fact, one frame caught her, walking off the bus. And then she just vanished. No visible detour, no running. She simply stepped off and wasn't seen again. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some believed she was taken by someone waiting in the parking lot. Others speculated about a possible abduction involving someone on the school's staff. Every adult on duty that morning was questioned. Background checks were rerun. No red flags emerged. The Reyes family was cleared of suspicion. But nothing brought them closer to the truth. Then came a possible lead. A classmate, Sophia, claimed she saw Madison walking near the east wing of the school, close to the gymnasium. According to her, Madison was holding hands with an adult woman, but Sophia assumed it was a teacher. When shown a series of photos, Sophia couldn't positively identify anyone. Except she was sure the woman wasn't Madison's mum. This raised alarms. If true, it suggested Madison was led away by someone she trusted, or someone who seemed trustworthy enough to not raise suspicion. Weeks passed. Investigators followed every trail. One bizarre detail emerged. A custodian had reported a jammed utility door on the east side of the school the morning of Madison's disappearance. The lock had been damaged, as if it had been forced open or tampered with. Surveillance on that door had been broken for months. Despite testing for fingerprints, no useful evidence was found. Some now believe this may have been the exit route. The entire Birchwood Elementary campus was eventually closed for 2 weeks, then again indefinitely by the district. Parents, terrified, pulled their kids out. The campus was dubbed haunted by the media. The district shut it down permanently in 2014. Today it remains boarded up, a decaying shell of fear and unanswered questions. Madison's case drew national attention. The FBI joined the investigation. Age progression photos were released annually. Psychics were consulted. One even claimed Madison was alive, being kept somewhere, underground, but no concrete leads ever materialized. Her parents have appeared on every major news network, still clinging to hope, still waiting for closure. In an emotional 2019 interview, Elena Reyes said, "What haunts me the most isn't just that she's gone, it's that she disappeared in one of the safest places a child should ever be, and no one saw it happen." To this day, no arrests have been made, no suspect has been identified, and Madison's face remains etched in the collective memory of Cedar Hollow, a smiling 9-year-old who vanished in plain sight, leaving a school that would never open its doors again. Case 4. The disappearance of Jordan Wills, the vanishing corridor. September 9, 2006, Silver Creek High, Oregon. It was the second week of the new school year. The campus was buzzing with typical teenage energy. Locker doors slammed, sneakers squeaked on polished floors, and the scent of cafeteria fries hung in the air. Among the nearly 1,400 students, 17-year-old Jordan Wills moved quietly through the chaos. He was a reserved senior, academically gifted, introverted, and obsessed with quantum physics. Teachers adored him. Classmates barely noticed him. But that day, at 10:38 a.m., during a routine class change, Jordan walked out of room 203 and was never seen again. The school's security system, like most public institutions at the time, wasn't built for active surveillance. Only a few grainy hallway cameras were functional, one of which captured Jordan exiting his physics class, backpack on, earphones in. He turned a corner near the science wing, and then he was gone. No, footage showed him leaving the building. He didn't return home. He didn't text anyone. His phone and wallet were later found in his locker, untouched. At first, teachers assumed he skipped, but by the end of the school day, his parents had called in panic. Jordan had never missed a class, never broken rules. Within hours, a missing person report was filed. The local police searched every room, closet, rooftop, and tunnel beneath the school, even storm drains and crawl spaces. Nothing. It was like Jordan had walked through a wall. What came next turned the case from baffling to bone-chilling. Another student, Kayla McBride, told detectives something strange. At the exact time Jordan vanished, she was coming up the stairs from the lower library wing and felt what she described as a blast of cold air. Like the hallway changed temperature suddenly. She also said the fluorescent lights above her flickered violently. Then, everything returned to normal. At first, this detail was dismissed. But then a janitor corroborated it, saying he too had seen the lights flicker near the same corridor, though maintenance found no electrical faults. Investigators turned to the building's original blueprints. Shockingly, they uncovered something odd. A short hallway, sealed decades ago, had once existed behind the physics wing. It was used for storage before being walled off in the 1980s during renovations. Some began to wonder, could Jordan have slipped into this forgotten passage? But no door was visible, and the only wall near that location was made of reinforced brick, untouched. The Wills family hired private investigators. Sniffer dogs were brought in. They led handlers to the very wall where Jordan had last been seen. Then they stopped. Just stopped, as if their target had evaporated. A cadaver dog later did the same. Yet ground-penetrating radar revealed no cavity or secret chamber behind the wall. No signs of life. No body. Nothing. The school board, under intense media pressure, closed Silver Creek High indefinitely. Parents protested, claiming the school was unsafe. One local pastor went further. He said the building was cursed, possibly harboring a dimensional tear. A local podcast picked up the story, fueling a wildfire of theories. Parallel universes, time slips, government experiments. It became national news. And yet, amid all the noise, Jordan Wills remained missing. In the following months, dozens of tips came in, sightings from across the country. One woman in Nevada claimed she saw Jordan at a gas station. Another tip said he was living off the grid in Washington state. None of them checked out. DNA tests and facial recognition ruled them all out. It was as if Jordan had vanished from time itself. Eventually, the Wills family filed a lawsuit against the school district, citing negligence. But without evidence of wrongdoing, the case was dismissed. By 2008, Silver Creek High was demolished, every brick torn down, every floor jackhammered. The corridor where Jordan was last seen was obliterated. Today, the site is a vacant lot, covered in weeds and memories. Jordan's parents still maintain a website, updated every year with age-progressed photos and messages to their son. The latest one reads, "We love you. We'll never stop looking. Wherever you are, we believe you're out there." Some believe Jordan fell victim to a well-orchestrated abduction. Others believe something more paranormal occurred. A dimensional glitch or time slip that pulled him out of our world. Regardless of the theory, one truth remains. A brilliant teenager vanished in the span of a few seconds, and an entire school was erased because of it. To this day, no trace of Jessica Lane has ever been found. No new evidence, no conclusive theory. Just a mother's endless grief, a school's lingering trauma, and an empty seat in room 104 that nobody ever filled again.